it's Kathy, your yogi mom, and today we'll be practicing a 20-minute prenatal specifically for the hips, to open the hips. Lots of times hips can get sore as they open up and get ready for baby to come, so that will get some tension around the hips and we'll move into those spaces today. And this is our special guest. This is Kelly, and she's 35 weeks along. She's almost there, and she'll be our beautiful model demonstrating for us today. So if you'd like, we have a couple of blocks I recommend. If you don't have any blocks, you can use some thick books as well, and a blanket to start. So we'll start seated on the blanket with Kelly to lengthen the spine to get some more space underneath. There you go. And a comfortable seat, an easy seated pose. You can also stick one leg out if that makes more sense for the spine. Now we'll bring the hands around the lap, around the knees, and roll the shoulders back, close the eyes. We'll start with a few centering breaths. Listen to your breath. Notice where it is. Now bring the hands around the baby, around your belly. Touch your baby. Let them feel the warmth of your touch. And the next time you inhale, breathe in deeply. Expand, let the belly rise. And on the exhale, let the belly fall naturally. Inhale, breathe with the whole body. Breathe with your baby. Exhale, soften. We'll do that one more time. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Gently open the eyes, blink them open, bring the hands back to the lap or to the knees, and we'll come over onto hands and knees into tabletop position. You could use that blanket as well. So Kelly will use that underneath her knees for more support, some extra padding. And then bring the hands right underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips for cat and cow to warm up a little bit through the spine, through the whole body. Inhale, soften the belly forward. Look up between the eyes. And on the exhale, round in the spine. Look at your baby. Relax through the base of the skull. Inhale, press forward, press into the hands, into the knees, tops of the feet. Exhale, round in the back. Use the breath to help you move in and out. Connection with breath and the body. Inhale, shoulders come back as you press forward. Exhale, round in the spine. She's doing really well here. And then come back to neutral. So that means that the head is connected all the way to the tailbone. There's a long line. And we'll open the knees wide for child's pose, Balasana. Knees wide, hips back, and then there's this little nest here for your baby right between the legs. A good posture to soften the lower back, but also to open the hips and the tops of the feet, the ankles, the shins, and really good for opening the pelvic floor, pelvic canal. Now Kelly has her head all the way down to the floor, but if you have some extra space underneath there, you'd like some more space, I'm going to demonstrate with a block underneath the forehead or a book, whatever that you're using. Shift your attention to the breath again, so even though you're holding still, you're breathing into those spaces that may feel uncomfortable or tight, like the hips. And we'll stay here for about 3 more breaths. Conscious breathing. And Kelly's doing really well. She's taking these really long, extended breaths. That's really the gift of prenatal yoga, is the depth in your breath. The more you learn that, the easier it is to transition that into the birthing room when you are having your baby. We'll stay here for one last one. Press into the hands and into the knees again, and come back into your tabletop, Kelly. We'll move the block to the side and readjust your knees. So the knees come from out back underneath the hips, and we'll move for some hip circles. So take the hands down and press forward, drawing a circle with the hips towards the fingertips, and then back down to the side and to the heels. An organic circle No real technique again, just moving forward, side and back, and massaging through the hips. Now you could start small. Imagine drawing a little cantaloupe first, and then maybe you're drawing a watermelon with your hips. Or you can get really dramatic with it, just like Kelly's doing. Going all the way back if that feels good. And that depends on the day. As you know, in pregnancy, every day you feel different. Some days you feel better, some days you feel like you want to do less or more. And we'll do one more to the right side. So this will help to bring some synovial fluid into the hip joints as well, keep them mobile. And now come forward to the front paws and go other way. So start small, this side could be a little bit different, and then come forward a little deeper if you like. So she's kind of winding herself up for it. She starts small and then gets a little bit and a little bit bigger each time. And one more full circle. Now we'll pause here and take the blanket out from underneath the knees. Bring it over to the side. And I'll open the knees really wide, curl the toes under, or actually we'll stay on the floor for just a little bit. We'll move into Anjaneyasana. This is a good hip opener as well. I'm gonna take some blocks here for her, place them underneath the hands. So blink both hands onto the blocks and open the knees a little bit wider, but bring the blocks together. So it's a little tricky to do lunges in pregnancy because belly's right in front. So what I'd like you to do is bring the blocks so that they're not almost touching, but really, really close together. And take your right foot on the outside of your right hand. So that gives her the space for her belly to come into that lunge. And you can scoot a little bit forward, make sure the right knee is right above the ankle. And you can also walk the blocks forward if you prefer a little deeper into the hip flexor. So we're stretching this front hip flexor here, the left side, and she's taking her right leg forward. Look forward, chest open, collarbones are wide. And back of the leg is resting on the floor. And then breathe into the hips. Try not to drop into your hips so much. Have some attention to the feet, so there's an engagement, there's an energy happening here. We're not just dropping into them, but we're opening through the front on this side and through the back on the other side. A couple more breaths in Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Your focus is forward. Breath is still deep and active. And now to come back, press your hands into the box, pressure into the box, and bring the right knee back. And you can move from side to side. You actually could have kept this blanket underneath. I don't know why I took it out, but we'll work with it this way. So go ahead and take the left side now, left leg forward, press into the left foot, hands on the blocks for support. And now press that back leg into the mat. Chest and heart, sternum is forward. And then now imagine sliding the back shin a little bit forward. That's going to engage your hips more. So you're still stretching and opening, but you have strength working as well. We're not just dropping into every pose. Especially in pregnancy, your muscles, your ligaments are softer, so we have to keep them a little more engaged than normal. 2 more breaths. And now release by pressing into the block. Step back with your knee and move from side to side with the hips. Good. Now we can walk back onto the hands. We'll take the blocks forward. There you go, into a squat position. So from the hands, now we're gonna open the knees wide. Open the knees wide, about the width of the mat. And then the toes are open wide too. So just there. Curl the toes underneath. Walk back to the knees and press into the feet for a squat. Now the reason why the feet are wide is so that you leave room for your baby. And then bring the forearms to the thighs, hands together. That's it, good. Place the hands now on the hips, elbows up, and with a flat back, come all the way up to standing. for Tadasana. We'll build Tadasana here with the feet underneath the hips. Roll the shoulders back, soften in the tailbone, stack the ribs over the hips, open the chest, palms forward, and then crown of the head up towards the ceiling. So he has a long spine, strong. And take a moment to feel the hips. What do the hips feel like? Is there a shift? Have you felt some opening? And then soften the hands, open the eyes, and walk gently to the center of the mat. So we'll take her left leg forward a few steps for warrior two, hands on the hips, and the right foot back a few steps. So starting from the center gives it a little more space, less jarring to get into the pose. And now bring that right foot so that it's in line with the back edge of the mat and the front foot is pointing forward. Bend into your left knee and open through the arms, away from the chest. Soften in the shoulders, lengthen the neck, and focus on opening, externally opening the hips, external rotation, knee towards the pinky edge of the mat. And then try to line up the right hip, the side of the hip with the side of the ankle, the right ankle. There you go. And take those deep, full breaths again. Hug baby towards you to keep engagement through the abdomen. A gentle hug. And we'll stay for one more breath. Hands back on the hips. Extend through the front leg and bring the feet a little closer together for goddess squat. So just a little closer together. Turn the toes out. Hands to heart center. Inhale. Exhale. Bend in the knees and sit deeply. So for this one, we'll soften the tailbone. There is a tendency to stick our bums out. So you want to soften. Good, that was a good correction. Open the knees wide, and it's a great posture for moms, especially for expecting moms. It helps to strengthen the legs, but to get into those hip joints to open up, to prepare all the muscles for birth. We'll stay for one more breath. This one can be intense. It builds a lot of warmth. And I'll bring the hands back to the hips, extend through both legs, and shift to the other side. So we'll have the right leg or the right foot pointing forward, left foot is turned in now in line with the back edge of the mat, and bend in through right knee for warrior two. Open the arms wide. Relax through the shoulders, lengthen the back of the neck, and soften the navel, soften the lower spine. Feel the foundation of your feet support you. And rotate outward into the hips. Line up the edge of the left hip with the edge of the ankle. That's it. One more breath. Now bring the hands back to the hips, extend through the right leg, and heel toe your way back to center. That's it, good. Stand tall, Tadasana. Take a moment to reintegrate, to notice the energy around the hips, around the spine. And then soften the hands, open the eyes, and we'll move back to the floor space. You can come all the way up here to the front edge of your mat and open really wide with the legs. Inhale, take the hands up overhead. Exhale, as you bend in the knees, bring the forearms back down to the thighs, just like we did when we were coming up. And pause there. Slowly coming to the floor, take the fingertips to the mat or to the floor, and then one knee at a time, come down. So it's a slow transition to get into the floor space. And we'll sit comfortably on a blanket again. So just take that behind you, and just as we did in the beginning of class, we'll come into Baddha Konasana. So this is another hip opener. Feet together, knees apart. Sometimes it's called butterfly pose, but the Sanskrit name is Baddha Konasana. And you can play with bringing the feet close to you or a little bit farther. So Kelly here is really open and her feet seem comfortable close to her, but if you prefer a wider angle, that's also helpful too. Now close the eyes here, lift the chest and feel the shoulders drop. Bring all the energy into the hip area. And then let the knees drop on their own. Try not to press them down or force them down. With gravity, they'll just open on their own. And we'll stay here Or if you'd like some more sensation, you can take the hands on the ankles or on the floor as you shift forward towards the floor. You can also take them even farther, as Kelly's doing right now. And remember that we all have different shapes. So for some of us, the hips are built differently and it doesn't feel good to come all the way down. You may want to just stay seated up the whole time. But you're still receiving the benefit of opening the hips and the back. We'll stay for 3 more breaths. Start to shift back away from the floor, press into the hands, lift the chest, walk the hands back to the hips. And then the shoulders over the hips. We'll take out one leg out to the side and leave one in for half butterfly. This is another hip opener. It gets a little deeper into the inner groin, the inner knee, but keep your leg and your foot active. So spread out the toes, knees up to the ceiling. Same thing with the opposite leg. And then the opposite leg will touch the inner part of the other thigh. There you go. So for half butterfly, we'll bring the hands behind, open, lift, and see if you feel a stretch through the lower back or through the inner legs. If that feels good to you, stay here. If not, and you want to go a little deeper, take the hands forward in front and keep moving until you find that sweet spot. So you could also even rest your forearms on a block if you'd like, or you can keep extending the arms forward. Keep both sits bones on the mat. And feel the back of the pelvis relax. The hip joints settle. And deepen the breath again. Kelly's doing a really good job breathing deeply. And again, the more we practice that breath in yoga, the easier it is to practice during your birthing. And last breath. Now slowly shift back up away from the prop or from the floor, and we'll switch sides. So take the other leg out to the side and bring the opposite leg in. Again, engaging both feet, so both feet are active and awake. And then you can start with the hands behind you to see if that feels better on this side, or shift forward to go deeper. So maybe the hands are on the floor. You don't have to use the block if you don't like, or you can just take the hands all the way down, so navel towards the mat. Couple more breaths. To transition out, gently lift up away from the floor space, back to your seat, and you can also move the block back out to the side and take both legs out now. So now this wide Upavishta Konasana, which is pretty much like a straddle, and it's really good for opening the hips and the pelvic floor. So another good preparation here. Knees up to the ceiling, toes spread apart, and bring the hands behind you to start. So this might be a nice place to stay, or shift forward for more sensation in the hips and in the inner legs. You can place both hands on the mat, maybe the forearms on the mat, or use that block again if you like. Every time you take a breath in, let everything that the breath touches soften and relax. Use the breath as a tool. And we'll stay for 2 more breaths. Now gently come back towards the center, towards your seat. And we'll bring the legs together for double pigeon. This is a really good hip opener. We'll start with a gentle variation. So we'll take the bottom leg, the one in, it doesn't matter which leg, but whatever leg is on the bottom here. The opposite leg will go on a block in front of you. So I'll take this block in front and take the opposite leg on top of that. So as you notice, she's in what looks almost like a square. This is double pigeon. Now, if you're feeling open and you want to go deeper, you can take this leg all the way to the top of the other knee. So that would be double pigeon, but I want you to cross all the way over so the foot's on top. Yeah, so we don't sickle the foot. Good, so flex deeply into the feet, that's it. So I don't know which one you like better. Do you like this one or the one on the block? Yeah, the block's nice. It gives you just a little more space, but you have both options, so I'll show you that again. So that would be double pigeon here. Just make sure to flex into both feet. And you could stay sitting up tall, or if you'd like to lean forward into it, that'll give you more of a stretch in the hip. This one can be intense, so that's why we're using it as our last one now that we're open. Let's stay for about 3 to 4 breaths. Do you feel that on the outside of your hip there? Yeah, this one's a good one. Whether you're expecting or not, but you can still feel it, yeah. So gently come back up. We'll use the hands behind you. See if you could take the foot off without using it, or you can also hold it, and we'll switch sides. We'll take the other leg on top, and then you can bring the block. See if you'd like the block on this one, and you can always try without as well. So how does that feel? Good? That one might be more open. See, I never know. We're not perfectly symmetrical, so that's why I always test it on both sides. So it could be this way. See, I feel more closed on this side, so I would probably like the block, but you don't need to use the block if you don't want to, but you can always have it there. How do you want to stay there?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll take a few breaths that way. And Kelly's leaning a little bit forward. That's okay. That'll deepen the sensation, or you could stay seated tall. Now shift away from the legs, come back up to your seat, and you can take that leg, come into an easy seated pose instead. Gentle twist with the hands forward, palms forward, open twist, one hand behind you, look over the shoulder, twist in the upper body, relax through both hips. And then return to center, take the hands forward and opposite hand to the other side. Feel the spine lengthen. Bring the shoulders forward, the head forward, and back to center, hands at the heart. We'll return to our deep breathing that we did just in the beginning. I hope your hips feel more open now. Inhale, open through the belly, up into the chest. Exhale, soften the chest all the way down to the navel. Breath awareness. Inhale, expand, widen. Breathe into the back of the lungs. Exhale, soften. And last, deep breath in and out. And thank you for joining us today and for allowing us to guide you. Namaste.